surfs. And then you've got a girl like Victoria who it would just be so fun to watch her out somewhere like a Noosa Heads or a San Onofre, something that's softer and more beautiful where those girls can just showcase their style, where maybe her style is more refined than Chelsea's style, but Chelsea's got that power thrown into everything.
But look at that nose work there, those heels really close together. Is it the full 10? I'm not sure if it was the full 10, but it was a beautiful type 5. Maybe it was a full 10. We could see spray coming off the board there. This is the 100 frames per second slow motion replay. Look at that overhead section. Really sells how good the waves here are in Papua New Guinea. And if you're considering an exotic surf trip, have a look at some of these surf camps in Papua New Guinea. They have an incredible progressive model of sustainable surf tourism, limiting the number of foreign surfers who can stay here, but empowering the local community and the local surfers to benefit economically from surf tourism. So it's a really exciting model being displayed at Tapura. And Nicky Winnichuk, the surf camp manager, he is just buzzing on seeing all of these world longboarders at the reef out front, because he has been working here for many seasons. He's seen this place evolve, grow, develop. He's been spearheading the Timber Surfboard project, working with international shapers and local shapers to refine the woodboard surfing from the wild balsa that grows here with all of the low 100%. That must be a huge confidence booster. If she can just ride through this heat, rest for the rest of the day, perhaps she's got to surf again later though. Is she going to need to save her energy? Is she going to sleep? Is she going to eat some food? How is she going to deal with this upset stomach that she's got? But nothing more challenging than having to surf a heat when you're not feeling 100%, but nothing more rewarding than getting those big scores on the board. As Victoria Vergara from Reunion, she's still chasing a 7.74. So the judges rewarded that last radical nose ride with a 6.1. It's going to be a hard person to beat at this event.
I definitely agree, and here goes the replay.
Quick little 10 there from Victoria. Didn't really belong on that 10, but lovely style on the nose. You know, you really notice the classic traditional approach that Victoria embodies, riding that slightly longer 9.3.
Well, the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the men should be educated first. And in anything that we do, and even in sports like surfing that we've taken up here in this club, when we get boards that are very rare or very scarce in this club that we got going, the boys are being boys. They want to dominate the sport, don't give ladies any opportunities. So we have to come up with ways to try and balance out so that female gender also have equal rights.
Essentially, we've got a massive social issue in Papua New Guinea, and in relation to the issues affecting violence against women and the empowerment of women, and the Surfing Association in Papua New Guinea have addressed this problem by pinking up half of the donated boards that are donated to the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea to give our female surfers and women in our surfing communities an opportunity to participate in the sport as on an equal footing to our male counterparts.
I feel
still getting 100% performances on those rides as we move into heat number 2, the Hawaiian Crystal Walsh against the Peruvian Maria Reyes. Peru, rich surf history.
Yeah, you know, the thing with Peru is there's a lot of lefts there. We know that, but I'm sure there's a few rights that will maybe have some similarities to this break here. Crystal, I saw her having breakfast this morning. You know, she's fired up. She's ready to go, and I'm sure Maria is as well. Speaking of Chelsea, apparently she had a bit of food poisoning last night, and you know, they always say a wounded dog is the worst kind of dog. Not that she's a dog, but that's just a cliche that people use. And well, she mustered up the strength to get out there, and she surfed really well. I watched that heat from just in front here, and you know, Victoria surfed really well, but just couldn't come up with the win. So
different plan of attack from both of those surfers. Chelsea much more compact, much more low, a lot more rail game. Victoria much more upright, much more footwork, looking just for those nose rides, but struggling to hang on to some of those rebounds.
Yeah, definitely. And I think too, you know, the sets aren't, in my opinion, they're probably not the ways you want. You really
to the foam, and then one more speed turn there, and then you're going to come to the kick out. So let's talk about Crystal. She's not been a world longboard champion, but she's been very close. But she's been in the psyche of global longboarding for a long time. I mean, she is such an accomplished surfer. Do you know much about her family? Do you see her in Hawaii?
Yeah, well, I know that she's obviously married to Anthony Walsh. She's one of the premier free surfers and big wave riders around the world. They have a beautiful son, Damien, who's 6 now. Crystal's been talking about him, missing him a lot, and of course Anthony. So they spend their time half between Hawaii and half in Australia. Which is great because that's where Anthony is originally from, the south coast of New South Wales. They, I think they recently purchased a home in Mililani, which is central on Oahu. So, yeah, you know, they're a surfing family, and I'm sure Damien will be no different as he grows up. You know, in Hawaii, you got no choice. You gotta be somewhat involved in the water. So, yeah, Crystal, you know, I don't know Crystal as well as I do Anthony. He's an amazing surfer. Charge loves.
Locals are down there like
Oh,
a
they're
flash.
running on the rock today. One of the Tatima saved 3 boards.
This is Maria. I can see it. I can recognize that that's Maria swimming in. So Maria, their leash must have broken. So now this is interesting, Shmood. When you swim in over a reef, do you come straight in or do you go for the channel?
I come straight in.
You don't want to get caught in that rip, do you?
No, and there's that dry dock area
Yeah.
there that will just cut you to shreds. So
You've gotta come straight
if I was Maria, I'd be coming straight into this little and a broken board.
And see how it's broken right behind the fins. Obviously, where you put the fins, you're going to create a weak spot. And look, it's right at the back of the side fin. So that was the weak spot. It perhaps got from that hang 5, their big speedy section there. Crystal looking so strong, looking so solid. Look at the power in that turn and the control. And really nice the way she just came out of that turn before the whitewater bounced her off. She falls here, but I think she'd already achieved her score.
Yeah, definitely done all the work before that whitewater. It's a big ball, a powerful ball of whitewater that just, it's like a broom. It just sweeps you off your feet. We've all been subject to that end bowl there where you think, oh yeah, I got this, whoop, and your feet are, you know, no longer attached to the surfboard. So Crystal did a good job there with 24 minutes and 35 seconds. Maria already, as we said, back in the lineup.
So really key how she decided not to hit that foam. You don't need to hit that foam unless you're going to come to the higher part of the wave where it's going to project you back into the face. If you're coming at the foam midway through the face, it's just going to bounce you off. So Crystal surfing very smartly there in the way she checked back on that open bit of water and continued her ride. But what really stands out for me with Crystal surfing is those 4 solid steps back from the nose. She's got the 5. She pedals back in such control with style. That is in the criteria, and that has been rewarded, Shmoo, with an 8.0. Crystal in the excellent range.
Yeah, confidence in knowing, oh, my feet, all my brain has to do is tell my feet to go here, and they'll go there. You know, a lot of them, when we see they do the 4 steps to the nose straight away off the takeoff, they're not looking at their feet. They're just doing what they know, what their body knows instinctively to do. It's second nature.
Yeah, you can't look down. It's like, you know, all action sports, all board sports, you have to, if you want to go somewhere, you need to look down. I'm sure over the years, you've done a lot of coaching with surfers who are doing aerials, and I guess that where they're looking is key.
Yeah, where they're looking is, you always got to be looking at where you want to go, right? Everything else should come instinctively. Here we go, the Peruvian back up and riding.
So she's up on the nose there. There's that 5. She's pedaling back. She's just lost control there. Very different from Crystal's plan of attack. That opening halo nose ride was out of control. Therefore, she never really caught back up, never really engaged the rails, fins, and the board. But she's going to be flustered. She's on her backup board.
Yeah, I think you're right, Sam. I think she hesitated there a little bit. She was at, I say 6s and 7s as to what to do here, in between 2 minds, and win heats in the last 3 seconds. So never give up. But if you have a bad wave, especially in conditions like this with 30 minutes, you have plenty of time, consistent swell still, there's plenty of scoring opportunity, wipe it off, start again.
I've got a friend, he's a climber. He says the first rule of mountaineering is think twice, but he's also a surfer, and he knows the first rule of surfing is never hesitate. When you're on the wave, you got to be instinctive. You can think in the lull, you can think before you paddle out, but when you're up on the wave, you just got to do it. And Maria probably was in 2 minds. She's on a new board, but she's got another bite of the cherry here, Shmoo. She's paddling for this wave. She's going to have to play catch-up, though. But she's on the 5 there. She didn't quite get the nose work there. So this is difficult for Maria. She's really going to be playing catch-up here. A lot of mind games going on.
And, you know, we're assuming that's her second board. It might not even be her board. We'll have to double-check that. And that's, again, going to be, if it's not her board, we'll definitely play on her mind. Someone may have just thrown her another board because they couldn't find her backup board. Most people will say, hey, grab one of their mates and say, if I break my board, give me this board. Maybe she didn't assume she was going to break her board in this heat, and things didn't go to plan. So we'll have to double check there. But, you're right. In surfing, you just never hesitate. And I've been doing this sport, I've been surfing for pretty much all my life. And I still hesitate. And when I do, I pay the price.
Yeah.
9.5, almost 10 times out of 10, you pay the price. And that's a really good quote that you said, that do not hesitate.
Yeah.
Especially in waves and you're standing straight up and going, but as you're shuffling back, if you're tapping your ankles, you're actually throwing off your balance, and if someone was to come and push you, you'd flop over very easily. So we often say, keep your legs spread and cross your feet over. We don't actually cross step, but we never touch our ankles when we do our little warm-ups in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And when I see them shuffle, it looks to me like they're almost on the verge of tripping. And that's where you can make mistakes. So right now the Hawaiian, she's been waiting, probably a good 5-6 minutes out here. We know the forecast is to not go flat, just to subside slowly through the next 2 days after today. So we're going to get a lot of I think he's going to have a great problem on his hands here, because once the world sees the pictures and the live broadcast of this, and this is just one of many breaks around the area, by the way. I know Nick was trying to, just before I came on the broadcast, he was trying to get a group together to go surf that left down the way. It's about an hour's caravan ride. There's Coconut Corner. You can see in the sort of middle left of your screen, all those little dots you see are coconuts. And that's my Coconut Corner there. They're still in the lineup. So the surfers not only have to deal with the reef, the power of the wave, but debris, or more or less coconuts, in the lineup that float through on a regular basis. There you can see one of them. There's two of them out there. There'll be a couple more floating in view here in just a second, as Crystal Walsh leads the heat against the Peruvian Maria Fernanda Reyes, and she's looking for a 7-point. There it is. There's another coconut, and there'll be another one or two here in this wave face potentially. They're all over the place. There's another one. There's another one. So there's Shmu's Coconut Corner there.
So Crystal, she's still got on the nose there, Shmoo. Beautiful surfing from Maria. Again, the difference, she has to shuffle to find her position over the fins, where Crystal just knew exactly where her feet needed to be as she came away from the nose ride. And for me, that puts her on another level.
Yeah, I agree. That's great calling there, and I think that here we go, a bit of a paddle battle there with Maria and Crystal.
See the kicking of the legs. I mean, really, is that doing anything? But it's irresistible when you're on a longboard. Great thing about a longboard is it doesn't give you so much back strain, because it takes the pressure off your spine, because your knee is rested on that flat board. So a lot of longboarders don't get the back problems that some shortboarders do get.
Tell me about it.
But it's very common to see the leg raised, because, again, that takes the pressure off the spine. And when you're paddling, those legs kick, and I love that. I love the paddle battle.
Yeah, definitely. And here we go. This is Maria Fernanda Reyes there. There you can see shuffling again.
And not quite fully toes over. She's just like an inch back from the nose.
Well, it's you got to call it like you see it. And as I think the word you use is that Crystal in this particular heat is on another level. She is running on her second-natured instincts, knowing that she's had enough surfs out here now to figure out where the scoring opportunity. The section is really small for scoring. And there we'll look at this replay.
The speed of that footwork there, and look, the control, and then all these steps, I mean, that for me, if Crystal just stayed...
But that was great vision, wasn't it?
And a good dismount. I mean, they say the safest place is in the barrel. If you're in a gnarly wave, get inside it, because you're in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's the best place to be. And you know where she took off on that wave is on that little nook, on that little corner, which slingshotted her under the nose ride, and a little bit of a bobble as she cross-stepped back to get into that tube ride, but still managed to find the right line just a little high. If she would have maintained that line that you said, she would have come out of that barrel for sure.
I mean, I'm really, really impressed with Crystal's approach here. I mean, she looked strong in the free surf yesterday, but yeah, I gave her a hoot on one particular ride, and she said, well, that's the first good wave I've had. So maybe she's just finding her feet now, but she's definitely demonstrated the form of a champion in this heat.
Yeah, well, there's not 30 or 40 other bodies out there she has to deal with. In the free surfs, it's really hard to get waves. We've both been out there, and obviously respecting the competitors. Now she only has one person to deal with, so she is feeling so comfortable. Unfortunately for Maria, that board break really set her back, really got into her psyche from what I can see, and She hasn't been able to wipe it off, unfortunately. I mean, you know, at 19 years of age, she's only young. She's an up-and-comer. She's a young gun on this tour.
Conditions, but if you do break that one board and you haven't got an identical backup, then, you know, it's hard.
Yeah, and, you know, that comes down to being a youngster and inexperienced. Crystal has a couple of backup boards that she could just jump on and get to work straight away. But with time, I think Maria will realize, especially off the back of this event, and knowing that, you know, probably thinking, man, I wish I would have brought an identical board to what my favorite one I've been riding was.
So
I could have been a little bit better off.
Talking of boards, that's the new pro model boat that the Papua New Guinea fishermen have just developed. It's the Mac Model 12.
The Mac Model 12. It's like this new speedboat of Papua New Guinea there. You know, it's great to see that the culture here is simple. They get the job done. They feed their families. They're clans. They're not tribes. And there's like 7 local communities around this area here that all get together and help each other out, which is fantastic. So Crystal Walsh, my friend, waltzes her way.
Congratulations, Damien. Your mum is just absolutely charged through that heat. As we move on to heat number 3, we're going to have a short break, and then we're going to be with Chloe Calmon from Brazil. Surfing gets the local wildcard, Ruthie Tapira Surfer, after this commercial break.
Well,
Cool.
the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated. Boys being boys, they want to dominate the sport, don't give ladies any opportunities. So we had to come up with ways to try and balance out so that the female gender also have equal rights.
Essentially, we've got a massive social issue in Papua New Guinea, and in relation to the issues affecting violence against women and the empowerment of women. And the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea have addressed this problem by pinking up half of the donated boards that are donated to the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea to give our female surfers and women in our surfing communities an opportunity to participate in the sport as on an equal footing to our male counterparts.
I feel happy to ride a pink nose because I'm happy that I will be the leader for riding the pink nose, the girls. Thanks.
Here in remote Papua New Guinea, the elders saw the influx of foreign surfers as a benefit because it brought economic opportunities, but it also created a dependence on surfboards donated by traveling surfers. The ancient tradition of locally crafted wood surfboards was in danger of being displaced by foam and fiberglass. The patron of Tapira Surf Camp, Nicholas Kirawam, camp manager Nikki Winnichuk, and the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea invited top surfboard builders Brian Bates and Tom Wegner to Tapira to celebrate and honor their deep traditional surfboard making roots, as well as giving them some measure of self-sufficiency. I didn't come here to teach them what to shape, but rather how to shape well. I didn't want to limit their creativity.
We brought the tools to help them mill the balsa and glue the blanks together, and then some basic instruction to help them shape the boards, and they're off. And now, after 3 years of workshops, the locals are making surfboards that are accurately shaped, well finished, and are their own creative design. We hope you enjoy watching this unique culture expressed in the water.
And welcome back to PNG, Tapira Surf Club, of course, for the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships, part of the WSL's WLT Tour for 2017. Shannon, what a great performance from Crystal Walsh moving into round number 3. An amazing performance there.
Excellent to see Crystal step up her game, and we know that she's just an all-around phenomenal competitor. She was runner-up in 2015 at the World Longboard Championships in China, and she's well deserving of a title to her name. Here goes the replay, though, of our current heat. Chloe Calmon, first wave up and riding. Beautiful bit of cross-stepping, toes clung to the nose, goes in for that close to a 10. Those heels nearly touching, great footwork, working her way back. Excellent to see, no shuffling. Loving this slow-mo replay. as she's just drawing a beautiful line, great rail game, and dragging that hand, just getting a full feeling of the wave that she's riding.
Open, and yeah, once you're out there, it's definitely a little more comfortable and confident.
And do you want to shout out to any friends, family watching at home?
I don't know if you're watching, Anthony, but hope it's going good, and hope you and Damien are having some good father-son time while I'm over here.
Okay, thanks very much, Crystal, and good luck in the rest of the event, and we'll throw it back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, that was a cheeky little, I hope you're having some good father and son time. We were talking about, as my son's at home too, with my wife, and, you know, it's just so enjoyable here. Everyone's just having such an amazing time. And there's a huge difference between this tour and the WSL. I mean, everyone's really close on the WSL tour, don't get me wrong. But the longboard, she won't have to surf again today, from what I think. I haven't heard the official call, unless you know something I don't.
As far as I know, we'll be running into the round 3 of the women's after this, which means that those girls will be running.
Oh, so they will be surfing. Gotcha. All right. Well, she will be needing some fluids very quickly here.
And now we've got a paddle from Chloe. Big, strong paddle to get into it. Quick footwork straight to the top. That arch, the tip of the nose in the arch, and now that rail grab to just fight around that section. She's going to make it around. I don't really know any better than they do.
Go ask the cover boy.
Go ask them. Go ask the cover boy. We've got, actually what's really sweet right now is that already
long time, and you know, especially in closed broadcast. I mean, I love doing beach. I don't mind doing it, Shannon.
Yep.
But here's where we can really break it down for the rest of the world and showcase just how cool and fun surfing is.
Exactly. And it's so cool to hear your perspective on loving the webcast and breaking it down for the world, where I actually am learning how to do the webcast, and I'm starting to flow with things. And, you know, here goes, we'll go straight to the live feed with Ruthie quickly, though. A bit of footwork, which is great to see. She's looking back at that shoulder and just loses her footing, so gaining a little bit too much speed there, unable to maintain that control, and her feet were a little bit close together. Those are things she'll be picking up on by watching the other athletes, and, you know, for sure improving her surfing as time goes on.
Definitely, and she did a bit of a roundhouse right around that coconut too, so avoiding maybe.
So wearing it, I actually don't really think of it, or just more prepared and more into like the athlete.
Sure, yeah, that preparation, having the right backup boards, being able to cope with the travel. So now you're knocked out, Victoria. Who do you feel are the top favourites to win this event? Who are you getting that kind of pizzazz from, that charisma, energy, strength to have that? From a great call from contest director Will Hayden-Smith, giving the women a chance to surf in the glassy wet back in the booth.
Yeah, we certainly are. It's great to be back in the booth. And this wind line, we saw it coming. I was standing out there on the beach and talking to a few of the competitors, and they said, well, it's nice and glassy, we're going to go.
Papua New Guinea, like empty and just with locals, so it was really nice.
Yeah, it's a really different feel to this competition. Everyone's staying close together.
These ladies, when it was big, they were all out there having a good go. A lot of them getting a lot of cuts and scrapes along the reef, especially this young lady taking off right here, Catherine Hughes. And still out the point there and get a little bit of sanctuary if you like, find some U time if you want, or just get out in the lineup and just chill with the rest of them.
And you talk about that camaraderie. That really is evident here. It's the coming together. It's the enjoyment all the competitors get from spending time together, and not just the competitors, all the organisers. You know, a lot of these people don't get to see each other much because there are not many longboard events, but you get to know one another more. And I must say that the surfers represented here on the global stage, they're incredible watermen and waterwomen. You know, I've seen them riding short, long, body surfing, trying the wood boards. You know, they just want to be in the sea all day, and it's really wonderful to be able to celebrate that element, because you need to be a survivor, you need to be a traveler to compete here. You can't be one of those people who just needs to lock yourself.
Play from Lindsay, opening ride of this last heat of our women's round 2. Great rail game from Lindsay. She is the 2011 world champion. Nice touch to the nose there. So she's a well-seasoned competitor, and she'll know what she needs to get through this heat up against Atalanta Nascimento. So, yeah, vibe on the beach. Everyone's still pretty stoked. I think, you know, slightly increased to 7.5. That's not affected section's almost caught a flu vibe from it, so she's on antibiotics now. So it's really important for all of our athletes and us who have gotten a bit scraped up to really be taking care of our cuts and wounds this week.
Yeah, definitely, because there's serious consequences if you don't.
Caitlin just jamming along.
She is just ready.
So good. I'm definitely going to be ripping her off on this one a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
In our room.
She is getting in the groove. She very similar to Tyler Wright.
Yep.
Tyler Wright gets in there. She starts shadow boxing, of course, the women's world champion for shortboard. So Caitlin definitely doing very much the same. Keeping hydrated.
7.5. She's now in the 15.10 heat total range, which is great to see. And yeah, it's really a good day of surfing. Lindsay, coming from Southern California, her favorite break is San Onofre as we go to that replay of Atalanta. All right, so maintaining control finally on the nose. It's great to see she's figuring this wave out a little bit better in this heat. And yeah, we can see that frothy section just kind of milks out in front of her.
Yeah, it's, well, like we said, she's clawing her way back with 20 seconds. As we get the draw updated, we'll let you know who is in round number 3. Heat number 1, that will be up next here in PNG. You're watching. If you've just joined us from wherever you are,
you compete.
A great interview and a great look at exactly what you're dealing with here as it hits about between 10 o'clock in the morning and about 4 in the afternoon. I cannot believe that Steven Sawyer is in there playing guitar. He's got nothing to lose anyways, the South African.
Oh, my goodness.
And his buddy David Arganda in there with him sweating it out. I don't know what they're trying to cut weight for, but a great insight to the living conditions here.
That may be the best thing that I've seen all week. Honestly, that was fantastic. I have no idea how Steven's handling those conditions. The girls, we were in there for the first 2 nights that we came on because we had guests staying in the lodge, and I'll take Rachel Tilley or one of the other girls through where the girls are staying. He's a classic.
From one of my favorite ways, and yours too, over there in Jeffreys Bay. He's been out there every day surfing and in amongst being in his little sweat box. You know what? He's probably one of 2 people outside of him, David Arganda, that are intense right now. Because if you leave anything in there, it melts. And if you stay in there, you will melt.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, we moved our camera gear, our laptops and everything out of our tents the first couple days that we were staying there, had them in some of these buildings around just to keep those from overheating. So I don't have a clue how the guys are handling it. Here goes a replay from Lindsay Steinreity, current action, well, the replay of the current action going on. Great hang 5, good bit of footwork coming back, nice rail game, driving, love that she gets so low and maintains so much control and speed coming into that foam. Really bounces off with a lot of power.
Yeah, definitely. As we see there, Nava Young now enjoying a bit of food, getting that energy back up. There's Nettie Snow from Hawaii. He'll be coming up. He's actually paired up against Kai Salas, who he drew in the first round.
So many of those same nation head-offs, I see.
Yeah, I spoke to Ned and Kai. Said, how did that happen? They go, and Kai said, all the time.
Really in dire situations.
Yeah, so I mean, it kind of balances itself out somewhat. In the evening, and yeah, you know, I got my computer all set up, so I'll put on a nice movie. And look at that, some of the locals sharing with some of the competitors out there. I think that's Jack and Twizzle. That's Nick Jones.
And
there's Harley
Ingleby and Victoria Vergara. They got the SUP paddles. So the really cool thing about this lodge setup is that they've got boards that we can use. There's other, you know, the SUPs that the crew can take out. So if you book a holiday here, you've got some different options given to you. They really try and make this an extremely enjoyable experience.
Well, and the kids out there enjoying that indeed with 4 minutes and 50 seconds to go. And yeah, and Adam Hubben, Kai, all these guys from Surfing New South Wales that have come on board Sam's team, as well as Telecom. It's not easy. It is not easy. So a big you know, shaka and high five to those guys. Have done an amazing job to help us bring the world these amazing pictures.
Yeah, and if you are tuning in back home, we apologize for any cutouts in our broadcast today. We're really fighting with a very low bandwidth to get a good bit of production out to you. So hopefully it clicks through and you're able to hear the updates and see the scores and catch some of the view of what we've got around us here.
Yeah, I spoke to my dad yesterday. He said it was a lot better. At times we were, you know, a bit slow, but he said the pictures look amazing. He was asking him when were we going to book our trip to Papua New Guinea.
That's awesome.
So
here goes Lindsay Steinreity up and riding. So those quick footwork, another hang 5. She's looking to improve on 2 scores in the excellent range. It's going to be difficult to do at this point. I don't think that'll move up into her high scores, but she's keeping busy. She knows that she's got some more difficult heats potentially coming up, and it's one of those things where, as a champion, you need to peak in the final. You know, we've been talking about that through the event. You need to peak in those semis and in that final round. So this would be considered a peaking round, I would say, for Lindsay. 2 huge scores on the board. Hopefully she can maintain that momentum through round 3.
Yeah, let's see the reef line. A lot more clear now that the rain has subsided.
Such a beautiful image. Clear water, that reef right underneath. We've got 15 seconds on the clock, counting down. Excellent heat from Lindsay Steinreity. Well done to Atlanta Nacimiento for advancing through, for making it into this event, the World Longboard Championships, and Lindsay will be advancing into round 3.
Definitely. All right, well, that's it. That's all she wrote as we get set for the commencement of round number 3. We're going to go to a short break, but stay with us because we got more live surfing action from PNG right after this.
Well, the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the men should be educated first. And in anything that we do, and even in sports like surfing that we've taken up here in this club, when we get boards that are very rare or very scarce in this club that we got going, the boys are being boys. They want to dominate the sport, don't give ladies any opportunities. So we had to come up with ways to try and balance out so that the female gender also have equal rights.
Essentially, we've got
of that round 2, but we're moving on to round 3. We've got Justin Movan from Reunion surfing against former world champion Rachel Tilley from California and her fellow USA teammate Caitlin McGeary, also from California. And I'm here with Tom Wegner. Tom, you were just talking about those nose rides. What really is it in longboard design that facilitates the ability to hang 10?
Gee, that's a big question. But hold it, just while this is up here, right here, look at the reef. You know, it's a very, very
real big carving attack. You know, she's been doing a lot of training for this event. She's been really thinking about board design, about fitness, about contest strategy. She's been competing on both long and short boards for a long time. If her dad is tuning in, big shout out to all of her friends and family in California. Caitlin McGeary, she's a practicing physiotherapist in San Clemente. She had a great performance in round 1. She's looking to set herself up for this inside foamy section. 1 quick 5 there. She's not going to get much more scoring potential now. That's the shallow section there, isn't it, Tom? That's a grinder, that little bit of the reef.
That little bit. Oh gosh, it just terrifies me. You know when you're watching these competitors on the screen here, they're looking at that reef right there, and they're looking at it really closely, thinking, well, I can get one more point out of my ride, which may put me from second to first. And but they're looking at it saying, well, if I do 2 more steps here or go 1 more meter, I might get stuck going on that reef. Like, look at the picture right here. Look at the bowl, how the wave's coming in on itself. It's a beautiful shot. Look at that. The wave goes into a U-turn right there. That's the power. The whole apex of the wave pushes you right up onto that reef there, and it's an incredible bowl. Like.
Yeah, it really is phenomenal to see the shape of that reef, that big V-shaped reef, and the way you get that concentration of wave energy coming out of that deep water and unloading on that shallow shelf there. And you can see Tent City in the bottom of your screen with that.
Well, you know, we had our actual perfect ultimate climax to the event, which was a little 9-year-old JY doing those double 360s, you know, slides. The greatest, maybe the single greatest finless Elias surfing I've ever seen in my life as he came off the bottom. Little 9-year-old wave, way big double overhead wave around this hard section, comes up into the curl and just does a 360 right under the curl. It comes down, slides down again. It does another bottom turn, comes up does another 360 right under the curl. I mean, my goodness, it was heart short time. What it does is it just raises the level across the board here, where they have a better idea of how to surf better. A better idea of what surfing is and where it can go, and hopefully it gives them other confidence in themselves to create the wood boards and to do their own thing, as well as, oh, there she goes.
So that was a little bowly section there. She just didn't quite get the line to stay on the nose. As you see in red, Justin Movan with that lovely backhand 5. Let's talk about style in longboarding. I mean, these women really embody the aesthetic of surfing as dance.
Well, they sure do. And as a matter of fact, Justin, in her last heat, Justine, was on the nose, and then she turned around and she hung heels for that just that moment and walked backwards. And I felt a little ping in my heart. I just thought that's a beautiful maneuver. It's hard to do. It really shows a lot of confidence, and it is a scary thing to do on those waves.
Big shout out to Dane Peterson, the master of the hang heels. If Dane, if you're watching, perhaps the best of hang heels of the modern longboard generation. So I'm here with Tom. We're missing you, Dane. We hope that you're still enjoying yourself. You've become a world-class photographer, but certainly, Dane, one of the greats at hanging heels.
Oh gosh, that's a very tricky maneuver. Like that's actually the quintessential point of that ride. The judges might not see that, but I see that as well. If you can pull yourself down from the very top of that whitewash down out into the flats again and continue on with that wave, that's the tricky part. Like that was a very skillful thing that most of the other girls are doing, and that would be a standout thing that I've noticed in this heat right now.
And it was interesting because it looked like she had to compress, and she even grabbed that rail to really stay over the fins, over the board, to really drive back onto the face of the wave. So good flowing surfing. That control is key. When people look wobbly, they look wild. When you see people do radical things with control, it's phenomenal. And that was one of the great things that Joel Tudor brought to the table, the ability to put his body and board in so many critical parts of the wave with such poise.
Oh, absolutely. My gosh. I remember watching him do this 360 at the Oceanside contest. I think he was 15 years old. He had long hair. And his parents were just saying, just win it, Joel, just win it. But no, he took off on this big set wave and pulled this carving 360 that none of us could actually believe. And his parents were angry with him, saying, stop that, you wide square tail. And you could see that there's a certain arc that you get from that turn. Once you bury that rail, you get an acceleration through the turn and an arc. And the arc's almost preset, but the preset arc fits with these waves perfectly. So that's where we're seeing, cutbacks from God. From all the competitors right now.
There we have it, Tom. Cutbacks from God from all the competitors. If we've got a few seconds left, and Tom, you're going to be moving out of the booth for the next heat. Shannon's going to be coming in, and then you'll be back in the booth as we have this short break, and we'll be back soon here in PNG.
Well, the culture here in Papua New Guinea is that the man is more superior than the woman. In terms of education, it's the man who should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the men should be educated first. And in anything that we do. And
yeah, they're just such an excellent team working together. They spend a lot of time in the telos. They're used to this heat. They're used to the reef breaks. We've got those official results. Why don't you read them out for us?
Yes, so there we go. There was a turnaround. I was very impressed with Rachel's last ride. I did think she got the score that she needed to move into first position, and sure enough, she was rewarded with a 7.37. And really what blew me away about that wave was she had all the good halo maneuver and the flow, the carving using all of the board, all of the wave, mix of footwork flow, nose riding, rail work, tail work. But there was a moment where she nearly got thrown off, but she still found her composure and completed that full nice hang five right on the inside, pedal back to the tail, and the judges would have loved that commitment, that risky surfing. So she took the win, and Caitlin McGeary gets second, and unfortunately Justin Movan, she's out, she got third. So both Rachel and Caitlin will be advancing into the next round. So that will be coming up in probably tomorrow as we see live action with Chelsea Williams, the goofy footer from Australia, from the Gold Coast, with a beautiful.
Currently seated at world number 1. At the end of this event, that will switch up depending, of course, unless Tori takes the win. But Tori in the yellow with a 5.17 and a 3.5. Crystal Walsh coming through with one score of a 6.67, and Chelsea Williams an 8.5 for that last wave.
Well, deservedly so. I mean, that is saying something. I hope that the fellow competitors are listening to that sort and going, there we go, that's where the big scores are.
Okay, she's a phenomenal surfer. She can come back on other things, but we do know that changes the game. You train on a board, you become really comfortable on something, especially for Tori having won the event in China, the World Longboard Championships for 2016 there. She would be feeling so comfortable in that space coming into this, and now to have that taken away from her.
So here we go, live action. We've got Chelsea Williams now in the lead. She got a 6.83 for that wave. I thought it was going to be at least a 5. It was much better than that. It was a 6.83. So she's got the 8.5 and the high 6. That means she's got a really high heat score already, meaning that Crystal Walsh needs an 8.66 to move into first position, and Tori needs a 7.07 to move into second position. 1 and 2 advance into the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, third will be going out. So who will it be, as we have 15 minutes remaining? And welcome if you're just joining us around the world. This is the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships here in round 3 of the women's event. Coming up, heat 3, we've got the Brazilian Chloe Calmon, one of my favorites, surfing against Nava Young from Australia, and Lindsay Steinreide. Now, Lindsay, I've noticed that she has been doing the most beautiful cutbacks and also shortboarding really well. I saw her jumping between long and short yesterday effortlessly. Is shortboarding a big part of her surfing?
I think it is. I don't know, how often she spends time on a shortboard versus longboard when she's at home, but I see on fire. She looks like she's having so much fun. You can see that smile on her face as she threw that arm back for the soul arch, knowing that the judges are looking for that little bit of style thrown into things. Of course, the maneuvers and executing them is important, but it's always amazing, especially for our viewers, when something looks really good.
So coming up in Heat 4, we've talked about Heat 3, Calmon versus Young versus Steinreide, but then Heat 4, we got Alice Lemoyne surfing against Honolulu Bloomfield from Hawaii, and Natsumi Teoko from Japan. She is off the back of an LQS win in Kingscliff, Australia, having beaten 3 world champions in the final, Lindsay Steinreide, Tori Gilkerson and Rachel Tilley. So Natsumi, she must be oozing confidence.
She's really come into this heat and stepped it up. She knows that, she's got some big names to go against. It was so fun to watch her win Kingscliff. I was there in Australia on, near the Gold Coast there, and got to see some really sloppy, small conditions. It was heavy onshore the entire day, surfing a beach break, very much less than ideal conditions for a longboarding event, but some excellent surfing all around. Lindsay Steinreide was also on fire in that event in the previous heats leading up to the final. But Natsumi, she just came as the underdog. She's a small, compact, sweet little girl, and she has phenomenal, beautiful footwork, and it definitely won the judges over.
As we see reigning world champion Corey Gilkerson on the nose there, toes on the nose. She takes a bounce, she takes a fall. Now, she's probably using a borrowed board, and how much surfing has she done on this board? How hard is it going to be at this level to jump on a new board? I think dinging her magic board yesterday was a huge...
Me, I've got a bit of a bad back, so it always helps if I kind of release some of that pressure from my neck from just prone paddling, but here we go.
Let's see this nose right here, Shannon. Is this going to be the one where she has the full soul arch? Here we go. Look, she pulls up high there with the 5. Look there, bringing the beautiful, stylish soul arch from Chelsea Williams of Australia. Look at that. Look at the spray coming off the nose of the board there. That's great nose riding from Chelsea. They're the former world champion. Beautiful slow motion imagery there, really selling the glamour and the grace of longboarding.
And we can see that smile on her face as she comes down. She must be feeling so good, of course, coming off of a sick night. Chelsea's got to be feeling great in the water right now, and it's really exciting. Just thinking about kind of, coming in sick, coming in injured to an event. Amazing to see Owen Wright win the Gold Coast event. That's incredible considering the last 18 months that he's had a near-death experience, all the training that he's had to put to get back up to that top level of contest, and winning the first CT event of the year. I wonder how much of that, just that adrenaline coming in that he's back on tour, has helped him out. And now we almost see that same thing. Chelsea coming from the Gold Coast.
For that 5, the fin slipped out. She was really deep on the section. If she could have stayed loyal to that nose ride and come out of that nose ride, that would have been really heavily rewarded by the judges. But the fin, the tail slid out from underneath her, so she goes down with the wipeout. As we go into the last minute and 50 seconds, Tori Gilkerson needing a 7.07, big sweeping re-entry. She knows that's not going to be the score she needs. You could see from the get-go as she stood up then, she was wanting a nose ride section. I feel as if she kind of did that turn thinking, oh, I wish I could have had a nose ride section. And when you're in these 3 surfer heats, it's harder to get the waves, as we see the replay of Crystal Walsh. Beautiful surfing on the nose. She really is surfing like a champion. I'm really impressed with her performance. Look at the strength and the poise on that nose ride. And then look, the full 4 steps back there. There's a little readjustment. She's in the middle of the board here. She's just got to find some fin bite there. She's still more in the middle of the board. It's getting bouncy, but it's big. Look at that big overhead section there. Beautiful bottom turn. You can see the spray coming off that outside fin. Nice top turn there. Really good flowing surfing from the Hawaiian. I think she's going to be really hard to beat in the next round if she does stay in the event.
I agree. Crystal just seems to have her head in the right space. She's nailing each of these turns. She's
I mean, she hangs on to this one. Look, you know, really getting compressed over that. That's great footage to see her.
We should get properly educated, whereas when there is opportunity, then women can be educated. Otherwise, the men should be educated first. And in anything that we do, and even in sports like surfing that we've taken up here in this club, when we get boards that are very rare or very scarce in this club that we got going, the boys are being boys. They want to dominate the sport, don't give ladies any opportunities. So we have to come.
PNG World Longboard Championships in Tapura, Madang, well, just outside of Madang. And we do have an official call from Will Hayden-Smith, the regional manager for the WSL. Will, what is the call? I know you've been talking to everybody out there.
Yeah, I've been running around on the coral, talking to surfers here, there, and everywhere, talking to the judges, and we've decided to go on hold until about 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock, we're going to come back and have a look. This wind seems to puff up every day at about 11. So, and then sometimes you get a really nice glass off between 2 and 4 p.m. So we're going to come back at about 2 to make a call. We might get 6 heats of the guys round 3 in this afternoon.
All right, there's the official call from Will Hayden-Smith. Will, let's just, before we bring in our special guest in the commentary.
Let's cruise through the contest, try and get some nice wins in the morning and maybe the afternoons, and then finish with a bang on Friday morning.
Well, that sounds very good, and that in a perfect world would definitely make sense. Of course, we can hopefully look forward to that, and it's all about managing the time, especially in the morning when you get the pristine conditions. So thanks, Will Hayden-Smith, for that forecast and what the contest window is going to be looking like. We'll see you, I'm sure, at 2 o'clock for the official call for the rest of the day.
Okay, thanks, guys. And as I step out, I'm going to welcome our special guest, Tom Weniger. He's going to come in and call the action for this heat, and look at it. It's stacked. Have fun, guys.
Definitely. Chloe Kelman, Nava Young, and Lindsay Steinreiter. Tom, welcome to the commentary.
Thank you, John.
Broadcast room here we have at Tapura, and wow, what an amazing heat we have in front of us.
Oh, well, this is utterly fantastic. Now, was that Nava Young? Yeah, just pulling out of that wave. What a great setup! It's so good to be here with you. Thank you.
Well, you know, I almost I can't say I almost didn't say yes to this event, but you know, I guess adventure and what intrigued me about coming here is, one, I've never been to Papua New Guinea. 2, I've always wondered if there was any women's rides, the pink nose boards. In that crowd, watching the world's best women were a lot of the men, whereas back in the day, that wouldn't be the case. It's such a male-dominated society, and that's slowly changing from what I'm gathering.
Well, it is changing, and surfing is a very strong force behind that change. You know, back to ancient Hawaii, where women and men surfed equally. Let's see, that was
Chloe Kelman.
Well, that was a critical hang ten there in the top of the pocket. Surfing it shouldn't be male dominated by any stretch. As you know, like it's something that we do to be harmonized with nature and to feel good about ourselves. There's no masculinity or femininity, dominating that aspect. It's about love of the ocean, love of nature, and I'm sure that, well, the little kids, the men and the women, or I should say boys and girls, they surf together, and then as surfing became more of a sport and influenced by Western culture, very quickly it became a male-dominated thing, where it became there's only a couple of foam surfboards available to the villagers, and say that there's 50 men and boys, or boys and girl surfers, and there's 4 surfboards. Well, the strongest.
And we have 30 minutes and priorities, so I just stuck to my game plan, which was to catch the bigger waves, which had more scoring potential, and yeah.
And a word for your son Damien watching back home. Any messages for him?
Oh, I miss you so much, and I'll be home soon.
So there we go, the 2Cs knocking out reigning world champion Tori Gilkison. Back to you both in the booth.
Thank you, Sam. Great interview. Of course, Chelsea, bit of food poisoning last night. She's not feeling 100%, but still, 2 rounds she surfed today, so now she can take the rest of the day off, Tom, and get those fluids back up, hydration, because it's so hot here. The sun zaps a lot of your energy, but then when you top that off with a bit of food poisoning or stomach flu, it really drains you that much more.
Oh, she's a stoic to have done that as well as she did.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the timber board building project that you've been working on. Tell us how long, tell us when it started, and your reasonings as we see Nava Young riding here. We'll talk through the surfing here because the people can enjoy the vision, but also enjoy what you've been doing, how long you've been doing it, why you did it, and how long more can we see this this great campaign of building local boards with local resources.
Well, it's taken off. Like the fire was started, a millennium ago. Intensive week when we're shaping surfboards in the sheds there, and listening to the local, making a board, having them ride it, then listen to what their concerns are, what they want to come back with, and really making sure that it's their ideas that they're making, so that when I leave, they'll be making their own surfboards the way that they want them. And it was really surprising in the heats where they were all chose finless surfboards.
Been eliminated, but both Chloe and Lindsay advance. And moving on to this heat 4 of round 5. Building beautiful boards for people all over the world. But Luffy, big shout out if you're watching back home in Portugal. Rodrigo Schweier, he's on one of your Luffy models. He's on the Sea Captain model. So if you're interested in getting a Luffy board, you can Google Luffy and find his website, and maybe you can get a custom order and collect it if you're ever on a surf trip through Portugal. Luffy, one of the great shapers, a fantastic longboarder with a brilliant drop knee turn. Luffy, we miss you here. You came to China, you supported your team riders in China, so maybe he'll be turning up at the second event of the World Longboard Tour in Taiwan as we broadcast live the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships from Tapira. It's a little bit of an afternoon onshore, bubbling up the wave faces here, but the surfers have decided to compete. They like the juice, they like the flow, they want to get busy on these kind of faster walls. As we see 17 minutes remaining on the clock, Nick Jones, he's got that 6.83 and that 4.40, so Nick Jones is in the lead. You can see Rodrigo Schweier on the left there. He's holding his arms up. He wants to hear the announcer let him know how much time's left, what scores he's got, and what score he needs to move into first position. Rodrigo's here to win. He needs a 5.41 to advance. Loser, unfortunately, gets out, gets that 13th place finish. Winner moves forward into round 4, all to play for the World Longboard Championships.
And quite evenly matched so far. There's only, there's less than 1 point dividing those total scores between Nick and Rodrigo. Here goes a paddle though from Nick Jones. Getting a quick start straight to the nose, that hang 10, keeping those feet tight together.
Big carving roundhouse cutback from Nick there, Shannon. See the way he just bounced back off that foam. Interesting, he made the decision to come high in that cutback so that he can rebound off that foam and project into the inside section. As we see live action, Rodrigo on the outside wave. He just dags a rail. There's going to be a little paddle battle on here because they're probably about in the same spot in the channel right now. But it looks like Nick Jones has got a lead on Rodrigo, so perhaps he's going to be the first back out there, and it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? With these man-on-man heats, priority is key.
Priority is so important. So of course, if you're anywhere near your competitor, you need to paddle hard. You need to get out in front of them. And if you've got that space in between sets, it's great to see when one competitor gets a set, gets that paddle ahead, and the next competitor gets the next set, and just kind of gets in that rotation flow. We got 15 minutes, 45 seconds on the clock.
So Shannon, some of the standout performers for you from the women's round 3. Is there anybody who you felt really kind of looked kind of ahead of the rest of the pack? as we just get this replay here, look at that hang 10 from Rodrigo Schweier. Beautiful nose work there. He opted to raise both arms above his head. Unfortunately, he falls on the turn, so that will be frustrating. Great nose ride, but unaccomplished ride afterwards, falling on the turn. So that could be a good score for the nose ride, but he didn't back it up, so it might be in the kind of 5-6s ranges. As we see, Nick Jones, 15 minutes left. He's in the lead. Rodrigo Schweier needs a 5.41. And I'm talking here to Shannon Brooke-Hughes to just see... Well, in fact, we're going to go back to that Shannon in a minute because we've got live action. Nick has a look. He doesn't go for it. Who was your kind of favourite surfer from round 3 of the women's?
I was very impressed between Chelsea Williams and Honolulu Bloomfield. Chelsea, especially coming off of, not feeling so great, she just came through and she looked like she just had it sorted. She was good on her rail game, but she was excellent on the nose, and she's someone we discussed before. She's out the bag. Same with Honolulu, dropping a 9-point ride, and right at the end of her heat, kind of.
There going on Skinner on the back in the middle of the screen. There you can see Taylor, TJ, Times World, and you can see Rachel Tilly on the right there. She's just thinking about stuff, relaxing. On paper, but Nick Jones on fire. He's got a 6.83 and a 6.5. Rodrigo, he has a 6.77 and a 5.83, so he needs a 6.57. Do you think the surfers will be regretting making that decision to surf in this bumpy conditions if they see it clean in the morning?
I think they will, yeah. Just because we've seen how good it can be when it's clean, and when, that line has the ability to run through, to throw a barrel, that even those light offshore winds, if we get those, to kind of hold it back and just keep it to break a little bit slower. I think they'll be pretty gutted if they see those kind of conditions tomorrow morning.
So, interesting decision there from Rodrigo Schweier. He's coming in. Do you think this is to do with a ding, a fin knocked out, or even maybe a change in equipment? It might be that he's not feeling the vibes on that board of his, and he wants to use his other board. Maybe that's his A board. Maybe he's got a B board waiting. Maybe he has an identical backup board. We've been talking a lot about board design here in the booth. The variety of different approaches that people have brought to. Rodrigo Schweier had a 6.77, so it wasn't the score. He had a 7.13, so it was nearly the score that he needed. So a little bit of a mistake from me there. So Rodrigo Schweier already had a 6.77. He needed about a 7.3, but he only got a 7.13, so it was not enough to move into first position. So Nick Jones is still in first position with a 7.23 and a 6.83, meaning that Rodrigo Schweier from Brazil needs a 6.94 to move into first position. So Shannon, he nearly got the score. That big vertical turn was rewarded by Gibbs. I'm Sam Bleakley here giving you the live webcast with John Shimuka. We just had heat 1 of round 3, and John, who have we got coming up now?
Yeah, we've got 2 Hawaiians will be doing battle, the battle of royalty right here, and this is one of them, Ned Snow, and Ned has been in great form. He was out there all afternoon while we were on break, having a free surf, warming up. A very performance-based surfer, Ned. He's been doing the tour for quite some time. Up against fellow Hawaiian and good friend Kai Salas from Waikiki Beach. The place where...
Interestingly, he had that big vertical re-entry on his penultimate ride. He got a score in the 7 range, and then in his final ride, he got a radical 10, and then some radical tail work, and he got a massive score into the excellent range. So, very impressed with Nick Jones. But Rodrigo, he never gave up, and it just goes to show you can take it right down to the last seconds and still get through heats.
Oh, definitely, and that was a perfect example, right? As we see Ned Snow, looks like he is up and riding. Good size set, straight, do a little tap 5. Now on in the open face, big sweeping turn. He'll get one more in here. Look at this section in front of him. No, he decides to kick out. That was an interesting choice. I thought he would have done a little drop knee cut back there, get some extra points. But that last wave of Kai Salas with that beautiful nose ride, combination to turn, 7 points.
So Kai Salas in the lead with the 7 and the 6.17. We'll have a new score to drop for Ned Snow, but he currently needs an 8.
Say hello to.
Ela falou pra você dizer alguma coisa pra galera no Brasil. You can see important?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. O time brasileiro tá forte aqui, tá todo mundo junto e vamos tentar chegar mais uma vez aí e tentar trazer esse título pro Brasil.
Awesome. So to all of our Brazilian fans, Rodrigo's Fair, excellent heat on your hands, and we look forward to seeing you in the next round. Back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon, for that, and of course, a very happy Rodrigo's Fair. He will be into that next round, and well, you know, like you said, Sam, you never give up, and he never gave in or up.
Celebrating that full rainbow spectrum of cultures, the WSL bringing it to you in Portuguese, that interview there for all you Brazilian fans watching, tuning in, and for all you Hawaiian fans, you've got Kai Salas with a 7.0 and a 6.17 surfing against Ned Snow. He's got a 4.5 and a 3.67. He needs a big score, an 8.67 to move into first position, but Kai really looking good. Riding a slightly wider board than Ned. Kai rides those Donu Takayama boards, but business in there, Shamu.
You know what? Look at this replay there. The 5 to the 10. Back to the, well, he stays there for a while. Back to the 5. And then scuttles back there. Nice cross-stepping back. And look at this big, carries the speed into that last turn and then says, well, I'm not done yet. I don't mind the reef being there. Oh, well, there he just kicks out. Actually does a floater over that big dry dock.
As we see Ned Snow moving through that section with a big sweeping roundhouse cutback, the crowd are going to be going wild down there in the grandstand, bandstand on the corner. They love watching the action. They love the world's best longboarders. We got two of the best Hawaiian stylists, Ned Snow surfing against Kai Salas with a beautiful hang 10 from Ned. So backing it up with another quick 10 there. So Ned mixing it up here with big rail game there. Kind of going to be difficult for the judges to separate these two waves. Both excellent waves have been ridden on this last set.
Wow.
I'm thinking that perhaps there was a slightly more dynamic nose ride from Kai. That might be the difference.
Ned will know that. So Ned will now be out there out the back thinking, okay, I need more toes on the nose, more time with those toes on the nose, and then I know I can do turns. But Kai, if he backs up that 7 and an 8.33, well then, you know, Ned's going to need, you know, a high 8 or a mid-range 8 to take this heat. But we still got plenty of time left, 13 minutes.
So let's talk about Ned Snow there. His shaper? Who's his shaper there?
Yeah.
There's another wave that's been ridden since then. So even in the dying minutes, we're still getting a lot of sets ridden. Big roundhouse cutback there from Ned. It was a shorter nose ride on takeoff. It's not going to be as big a score as the last wave that we're waiting to drop from Ned. But, I mean, Kai just looked on fire then. He got the 5, he got the 10, full soul arch, a lot of vigor. So Kai's got the 9.4, the 8.33. Ned's got the 8.17, the 8.10. He still needs that 9.56 to move into first position with 1 minute and 47 seconds remaining. What a fantastic heat. But what a frustrating situation for both of these surfers to meet in round 3, because I think this will be one of the best heats of the round. This could be the final.
Well, you said that right when the heat started. This is the heat to watch. And an 8.93 for this last wave. I'm surprised that they did not give this well over a 9.
That is incredible bit of nose riding there. I mean, look how deep in the wave he is. The difficulty factor of where he's on the nose, right behind the pocket, and the control to pedal back from that full soul arch hang 10. And also that demonstrates the functionality of the soul arch. He used his hips to get weight in front of the board to keep himself moving, you know, so that's the soul arch personified.
Yeah, and I think when Kai... Welcome back to PNG for the Kumul PNG World Longboard Championships, event number 1 on the WSL WLT Tour. Shmoo and Shannon in the booth now. We're at the wonderful Tipira Surf Camp, or Surf Club here in, well, just outside of Madang. Shannon, and what about those two Hawaiians in that last heat? What an amazing performance by both.
Man, we have seen some of those heats where you just get gutted to see one of those surfers go down, because they've really come to show us what they're capable of, and they've performed to the highest of their ability.
Yeah, and they certainly did. I mean, Ned Snow's scoreline, a 16.27, would have won so many heats, quarterfinals even, but it was the other Hawaiian, Kai Salas, who just mad-dogged his way into the next round with an 18-plus score, 18.33, if I could remember. Next will be an amazing matchup between the former world champion, as we watch Shohei on this wave. Coming up next, Harley Ingleby up against Emilian Fleuret, as the Japanese surfer kicks out and makes his way back out into the lineup. Here's some, as the wind, you can start to see the wind changing a little bit of direction, a little bit more smoother on the open face. And here we go. This is Piccolo Clemente.
Nice big rail grab roundhouse into the foam. and kicks out of that one. It'd be interesting to see if he was able to get to the nose if we catch the replay on that wave. Not just a little bit.
It was sort of monsoonal, if you like, but it has since cleared. We haven't seen any rain since, which is good. I mean, kind of good and bad because we love a cool shower every now and again.
Yep.
But right now we're still – the most important thing and the thing that makes me happy is the fact that we should see great swell throughout the rest of this event. And you don't normally get that in surfing. Swells normally last between 2, 3, 4 days if you're lucky. But we're going to get 5 days of swell. Tomorrow we may see a little bit more of a decrease in the size, but the quality is going to be excellent as we watch Piccolo Clemente just hanging 5, hanging 10 on the nose, enjoying himself with a beautiful cutback and trying to work off that 617 in his scoreline, looking very sharp.
Very sharp. The 10 to the 5 to the 10. Once again, he's so comfortable up there, he could just have a drink in his hand and cruise on by. Having a paddle here now, Shohei Akimoto from Japan. Great guy to have in the longboarding community here with his girlfriend. And, yeah, they've just been a great asset to the mix.
He's accelerating down to the bottom of the board with a big gouging rail turn there, throwing a massive amount of spray. The Costco surfer there with his trademark drop knee turn into the whitewater. He's 33 and he's been 2 times world longboard champion. He won in 2009 in the Maldives, a year when there were 2 events on the tour. There was Japan and then there was the Maldives. He won in Japan, beat Dwayne De Soto in the final. In the Maldives he got second to Kai Salas in the final, but overall he was tour champion. And in 2014 he won the one event at Ryubei, Wanning, Hainan. That was his 2nd world title. Surfing against Emilien Fleury from Honda in southwest France. Emilien, he's just 31. His favourite spot is La Fatenia, one of the great right-handers on the Basque Coast there where Spain meets France. And he rides Piccolo Clemente's boards. We just saw Piccolo winning the last heat as we see Emilien there on the nose. He's probably got a 5. He's going to be sweeping down the line there. Here we go, back to the tail, middle of the board there. That looks bouncy section. That's a tough section to navigate as he goes into the full cut back there into the bouncy foam. And here we go with this bowly section. One more top turn. He's looking compact. He's looking low. He's looking speedy. He decides to drop into that last turn. It's shallow in there, Shannon, isn't it?
It is so shallow. I believe it was Natsumi that we saw earlier on deciding to go for that finishing floater. And, yeah, most of our competitors just kicking out before they hit that complete reef. We do have one score on the board. Harley Ingleby coming through with a 7-point start, 7.00 for his first wave. It's an excellent start off to this heat. He'll be feeling good to get a high scoring wave on the board. Of course, he'll be looking to improve and get scores up into the true excellent range of an 8-point and higher.
So Harley Ingleby riding his Billy Tolhurst models there, but it's the Thunderbolt technology, the use of carbon fiber that really makes his board particular. As we see that nice hang 10 from Emilien, we missed that in the live action, so what an opportunity to see it on the replay. But it was very bouncy there. It was a good hang 10, but the control of the navigation for the rest of the wave was difficult because he was dealing with a lot of chop, a lot of bounce. So therefore, perhaps the judges are not going to put this score in the excellent range, despite the fact that he did have that pretty radical nose ride. The difference with Harley's wave was that he got that controlled 5, but then he went back to the tail and did a really big radical turn, throwing a lot of spray. So Harley's combination of surfing is always done with control, with flow.
And impressive to hold that control in these bumpy situations. We did see in the last heat Shohei just battling a little bit with that chop. Couldn't quite find his footing, where Piccolo seemed to be at least a little bit more composed in those bumpy conditions.
That's Dane Pioli there. He's going to be coming up against Phil Rasman, reigning world champion. Ooh, that's going to be a big one there. So Dane's he's going to get his fins organised. He's taking out some of those fins there. He's going to maybe change fins. I'm not quite sure what his plan is. Maybe he's just checking that they're nice and tight, but he's certainly going to be excited to take on the reigning world champion. That's going to be the last heat of the day. Coming up, we've got Jefferson Silva surfing against Antoine Del Pero. Jefferson has damaged his knee and he is going to paddle out. He is going to give it a go, but it's very possible he's not going to be able to surf that well. So a strike of luck for Antoine Del Pero, but Antoine, he will just take that momentum forward because he has not got a deserved world title, in my opinion. I think he's one of the great surfers, and he's always been very close to winning world titles. Twice he's come second against Dwayne De Soto in 2010 in Makaha and against Bonga Perkins in 2008 at San Onofre, California. So the Frenchman there, he knows he can win a world title. As we see his teammate Emilien Fleury on the Piccolo Clemente board giving a big sweeping turn, bouncing off that white water, staying nice and low, looking focused. He's got his long hair tied up. He has a big rebound into the shallow section section of the reef there. Mike got a little ding on the nose there. I'm not quite sure how deep it is in that little area, but Harley, he's going to stay relaxed. He's a very, very accomplished competitor coming from Emerald Beach on the Coast, New South Wales. Harley Ingleby, his father Mark, if you're listening in, hope you're enjoying watching your son here in Papua New Guinea. Perhaps you've already travelled to Papua New Guinea before. I know you've got one of the great surfboard collections, and your son is one of the great all-rounders. He rides everything from finless alayas to heavy single fins with flair, with style, with flow. Right now he's on his new Thunderbolt technology carbon fiber surfboards, really pioneering the areas you can put flex in a board. So Harley always working with GoPro, delivering a lot of dynamic content. Some of his tube ride footage online on his social media accounts is just incredible. One of the great longboard tube riders. So here we go, live action. Harley Ingleby, over to you, Shannon.
Straight to the nose, quick 10, hangs at 5 just for a second longer. Pumps around that opening section, which is good because he needed to gain some speed coming up into that second turn, maintaining control. Still a bit bumpy, but manages to do what he could on that wave. Did close off on him pretty quickly. I think he was probably hopeful that he could stick on the nose a lot longer, but that wave just closing down as he had to pump around from the bottom.
So Emilien's got straight to work in this heat. There's 23 minutes and 18 seconds remaining. He's got a 6.17 and a 6.10. Harley's got a 7. We're waiting for that score to drop. It might be in the 6 range, so it's very close. And I've just had word from Andy Abel at the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea that the engineers are doing their very best at Port Moresby to really deliver that bandwidth so you viewers at home can get a continual live stream, because all of the staff here on site at Tapura are working like crazy to deliver an amazing production. We've got so many dynamic camera angles. We've got priceless content. All we need is the engineers in Port Moresby to open the floodgates, to let that bandwidth stream through so we can have a permanent live webcast. So hang in there, audience back home. This is the World Longboard Championships from remote Papua New Guinea. 22 minutes remaining as Harley Ingleby in red looks for a set. He's just lying down now. He's thinking, is there a set coming? Emilien Fleury with a 6.17 and a 6.10 as we see Tom Wegner and Brian Bates there. We had Tom Wegner in the commentary booth earlier. There's Brian Bates. Lucas there, his teammate, and Piccolo. Bit of translation there. And Piccolo is such a lovely man, isn't he, Shannon?
He's wonderful. We got to do a bit of traveling last year when we were in China on our off days, and it was really sweet to hang and get to know him. Also great to get to know Lucas. His English is phenomenal. He's studying that in school, really focusing on it. So it's really good to see those team dynamics coming together, not only helping each other with their surfing, but helping with communication and realizing they want the world to see who they are and experience, because it was the second wave in that set. And he'll be hoping that that improves his score. Not sure that it will, but he's got to keep busy to keep Emilien on his toes.
So 5 minutes, 53 seconds remaining. Emilien will be sitting with priority. You can see the Harleys paddling up on the inside of Emilien. Harley will want to get in Emilien's space. He want to put him off. This is a very interesting tactical attack from the Australian 2-times world longboard champion, 33-year-old Coffs Coast legend Harley Ingleby. He's paddling deep right up the point. He's made a conscious decision where he wants to sit. Emilien has got priority, but Emilien's way off to the left. So Harley's going super deep. He wants to kind of dominate this last 5 minutes. So he's going to kind of really try to encourage Emilien to go on a wave that Emilien's not going to be able to get the score on. But Emilien needs to keep calm. He needs to really breathe. He needs to think, right, well, I've got 5 minutes left. I've got priority. I need an 8.44. I need to get a Piero.
Exciting times, exciting times. Very excited to see Antoine Del Perro in the water next. Such a friendly face in and out. I know he helped out Catherine Hughes yesterday. She got caught on the rocks 2 days ago, and he was right by her side in just a moment's notice. So it's really great to see the camaraderie amongst all of our athletes coming together. Scores through. It doesn't seem like Emilien's last wave was high enough to reach into his top 2, unless something's lagging behind on our screen. But so far, we've still got him sitting with an 8 and a 6.17. Harley Ingleby sitting in the lead with priority.
So Harley, I really think that came down to when Emilien dropped that excellent 8. The fact that Harley just paddled deep up the reef there and got on the inside position, I think that was an important bit of strategy from Harley. I think that's where he wanted to position it.
Crafted wood surfboards was in danger of being displaced by foam and fiberglass. The patron of Tapira Surf Camp, Nicholas Kirawam, camp manager Nikki Winnichuk, and the Surfing Association of Papua New Guinea invited top surfboard builders Brian Bates and Tom Wegner to Tapira to celebrate and honor their deep traditional surfboard making roots, as well as giving them some measure of self-sufficiency. I didn't come here to teach them what to shape, but rather how to shape well. I didn't want to limit their creativity.
We brought the tools to help them mill the ball set and glue the blanks together, and then some basic instruction to help them shape the boards, and they're off. And now, after 3 years of workshops, the locals are making surfboards that are accurately shaped, well finished, and are their own creative design. We hope you enjoy watching this unique culture expressed in the water.
And welcome back to PNG, and another great heat is on tap. Has already started here. We're into the evening hours here at Papua New Guinea, but rolling on into round number 3, heat number 5. Jefferson Silva up against the Frenchman Anton Del Perro. Sam, interesting about Jefferson, meniscus tear. I think he's extremely brave to be out there riding, as we see right here. But I don't know how this guy is actually turning his surfboard with a meniscus tear like the doctors have given his prognosis with.
Wow, that was incredible surfing. If that knee is injured, he's really putting it on the line there. And you can see the Frenchman, Antoine Del Piero there. He had a good wave as well. He kicked out at speed. So, wow. Yeah, I have to admit, I was surprised he even decided to paddle out for the heat. But I could appreciate he wants to be here. But I was even more surprised to see how well he was surfing on that replay.
Yeah, let's have a look. This is Anton Del Perro there with the 5 on the nose there. Just a nice leaning back 5.
Stylish on the nose and the big sweeping roundhouse cut back there.
Yeah, I
good
like it.
Footwork, good flow. Didn't get the full 10, but I don't think that mattered because I like the posture, the confidence, the fact that he was really in the pocket for a long time on the nose. But did you hear about how Kai Salas expressed how the 5 is just a precursor to the 10?
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Laying down the rules there, Hawaiian style. Kai Salas, it's all about the hang 10.
It is definitely about the hang 10. And Jefferson Silva opened up with a 6.5. As we can see out the back there, a little bit of the sea life coming into play here at Tapira Surf Club. Anton Del Perro, well, his first wave score coming in. I think it'll be around about that same 6.5 area of point scores here. This is the second last heat. The world champion up next.
The world champion up next. Very much looking forward to seeing what Phil Rousman has to offer. But I think that score from Antoine will come out higher than Jefferson's. It'll be interesting to see the difference. I just think that opening nose right there was pretty dynamic. It was pretty in the pocket. Yes, he didn't get the 10, but it was a good 5. It was a lot of pocket work. And the lines that he took afterwards were clean. They were controlled. He used all of the board, all of the wave. Everything looked composed. Jefferson, though, so this knee injury, I mean, from our point of view, we were discussing this earlier. You know, we both said, well, your body's for life. You know, my instinct is, come back 100% rather than put yourself at risk for years.
Yeah, I agree. I don't agree with his decision to surf. If it's a true meniscus tear, it could lead to ACL damage, and that would prolong his comeback. Look at that 5, and he cross steps all the way back. Look at this section. Bang! Straight up there, Sam. That is a great maneuver from Anton Del Perro. Wow, he's on fire.
Beautiful surfing from the Frenchman there. Twice he has come second in the World Longboard Championships. Two big name Hawaiians, to Bonga Perkins in 2008 in San Onofre and to Dwayne De Soto in 2010 in Makaha. So Antoine, will he get that world title that he deserves this year? He's got 2 events to give himself a chance, and you can see there Jefferson was holding the knee. That's really going to be a big issue as we get the results, the official results from the last heat. So Harley Ingleby, he did hang in there with that 837 and that 827, and on that last wave Emilien just got the 517, so it wasn't the excellent score that he needed. So congratulations Harley Ingleby from the Coffs Coast, 2 times world longboard champion, looking like he's going to be a contender for the win on that Thunderbolt carbon fiber composite technology. Very lively, very exciting to watch.
Yeah, great. He's the only one in the field, to my knowledge, that's riding a 4-fin and doing quite well on it, I might add. So the 2-time world champion, Harley Ingleby. This man on screen here, Jefferson Silva, you can see him. He was looking at that knee. I mean, you got to give him credit for getting out there, but I still disagree with his decision if the injury is as bad as it looked, especially in the morning hours when he was hobbling around. It's been bandaged up all day. He's been doing nothing but resting it, and now he's put that knee at risk of further damage. There you see Kaniala Stewart talking to Phil Rasman, who will be coming up next against Dane Piola. There he is, the world champ, looking good, and he looks so confident. I've been spending a little bit of time with Phil. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great ambassador for surfing, and he's a great communicator. And interesting scores here. So I was wrong. The first score of Antoine's, I thought that was going to come out higher than Jefferson's. It came out lower. So the judges are looking at both rides, and they recognise that okay, Antoine's wave was not quite as good. Jefferson's the 6.5, Antoine's 6.43. However, Antoine backs that up with an excellent 8.17. Hits the nose, pedals back to the tail, big vertical re-entry. The interesting thing about Antoine surfing is how smooth he is. He's known for his smoothness. He can get to the nose, he can surf off the tail. He rides slightly wider boards, slightly flatter boards. He's very, very smooth in his projection turns. So we'll see it here. Watch how smooth he is. Look, he's going to find the 5 here. There we go. Boom, little stall. No, straight to the nose. I was completely wrong. And there we go. Nice smooth turn. But again, he's really got that smooth flow. He kicks out of this wave. Very rare have we seen surfers do a turn on the beginning. They normally set up for the nose ride, but he knew that wasn't going to facilitate it. Over to you, Shmoo.
Oh, wow. Again, I'm baffled. Look at the turns that Jefferson, that has got to be hurting him with that meniscus injury. I mean, I don't see, unless he's had a cortisone injection in there or something, or his knee is taped up so tight he can't feel it, but I don't think that's happened. It's got to be that's his power. That's where he drives all of his turns from. And to be doing those type of risky maneuvers is only, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, will be causing more damage to that meniscus and possibly his ACL. Wow, I'm flabbergasted.
So scores drop for Jefferson there from Rio de Janeiro, from the Saquarema surfer. He's got a 4.5, and now that 6.5 is still his leading score. As you see, with the Thunderbolt technology, the carbon fiber technology there, composite layers of the polystyrene and the epoxy and the carbon fiber, and there we go, the 4 fin. So phenomenal to ride that well on a longboard and still hold on the nose with 4 fins. A lot of people think that center fin must be essential for the hold on the nose, but Harley proving that the 4 fin is working wonders for him with 2 scores in the excellent range.
Yeah, he surfed extremely well. As we see Antoine Del Perro to the nose, out on the open face, big sweeping cutback. Look at him dragging that backhand in the water, very stylish. Drop knee cutback now for the Frenchman from Biarritz. And he kicks out. That'll be another good score there, Sam. And, Harley doing a lot of filming for his main sponsor, GoPro. So Carlos McCarthy and the crew must be extremely excited. The boys from GoPro Australia. Harley getting you guys some amazing imagery from this Papua New Guinea location here at the Tapira Surf Club. So let's see what that score comes in for Anton. As a 6.43 is his second highest scoring ride. I think he might just increase his lead over the Brazilian Jefferson Silva.
So I thoroughly recommend, if you don't already follow Harley Ingleby on Instagram, definitely follow him, because the clips that he posts from his GoPro POV cameras are phenomenal. There was recently that he posted something which is a combo of 3 of his favorite tube rides, and they were just all on longboards, and they were so deep, so big. He is one of the great all-round surfers on the planet, and definitely flying the flag for GoPro there. So Harley Ingleby moving into round 4, as we see Antoine Del Piero with a 8.17 and an excellent, God, wow, that 7.17 to back it up. I mean, Antoine looking lively, looking sharp, not holding back, knowing that Jefferson's got this knee injury, but knowing that that's no reason not to give it 100%.
Yeah, definitely, and he'll be hopefully, I mean, the guys were all, as he walked past, he was still hobbling. But his first wave is an indication of the true warrior spirit that Jefferson has. He's trying very much mentally to put that injury aside in the back of his mind and go out there and perform to his best of his ability. But is it really worth that one heat, whether he makes it or he doesn't make it? He may be doing extreme damage. We'll get to that as it progresses. But let's go down to the beach and talk to that last heat winner, Harley Ingleby.
So standing here with Harley Ingleby from Coffs Harbour, Australia. Well done for making it through your last heat. It was a tough one. You had a pretty substantial lead going through most of the heat, and then just in those last few minutes, Million pulled out an 8-point ride. How did you feel? How did your strategy change?
My strategy didn't change. I just wanted to stay on the best waves, you know. So I was sort of lucky I had the priority whenever the bigger sets came, and I just, it was obviously I wanted to be on the bigger waves, but yeah, I was a little bit shocked when he got the 8 on that little inside one, but you know, he's a really great surfer, so I wasn't too surprised, I guess. But yeah, just really happy to get through. It was definitely a bit of a heart starter when he got that score at the end, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you did answer back with, you know, getting your best heat score of, you know, your best wave score of the heat after that, which is awesome. And you are a multiple world champion. How do you feel coming into PNG? It's a new surf destination. It's a new surf spot on tour. You've been around for so many years. Does it add any kind of, you know, excitement to you potentially getting another world championship?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's definitely my goal to, you know, having a couple of world titles, but to get 3 would be insane, and that's absolutely my intention here, as is, you know, for all the competitors. But I mean, it would only be the starting blocks till the end of the year. But yeah, you know, to get a good start and would be a dream. But yeah, I mean, so stoked to be here in PNG. This is probably the best location we've had in 6 or 8 years, or maybe even longer. Definitely a top 2, if not the best location I've had since I've been on tour. So super excited, and yeah, hopefully the swell holds in and we can get some more hollow ones with the offshores in the morning. And yeah, I'm yet to have an offshore heat, but I'm I'm hanging out for one, hopefully.
Well, we hope so for sure tomorrow you get that offshore heat. Is there anyone back home in Kosh you'd like to say hello to?
Yeah, just mum and dad, and just all the crew from Emerald Beach, and yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone will be watching, and yeah, all the crew from my surf school, Salt Trail and Surf School, I'm sure they're all watching too. But yeah, just hopefully everyone's tuning in and the internet's holding in.
Yeah, of course. Well, there you have it from Harley Ingleby, multiple world champion, one of the best events on tour in years and years. So we're so stoked to be here in PNG, and we're going back to you guys in the booth.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon, and I'm sure everyone at Coffs Harbour, Emerald Beach. I've actually been to Coffs many, many times. It's a wonderful part of northern New South Wales, and his surf school is very successful. And who wouldn't want to learn from a multiple world champion?
Yeah, Harley's a legend. You know, he's a great ambassador for surfing globally, and you know, he's thinking back. He's been around for a long time, and the fact that he said this is one of the best locations for an event we've had for a long time, that says a lot. He was there when we surfed at the Maldives in 2000, and gosh, I forget which year it was when we surfed in the Maldives. It was 2009. It was when he won his first world title, and that was a phenomenal event on that beautiful left-hander at Pastor Point there. That was when Harley won his first world title, and he's probably remembering that occasion and kind of comparing it to that, because as much as this is a right and Pastor Point was the left, that was an event at a tropical location right in front of all of the surfers and all of the spectators. That lovely energy you get, that alchemy between the heats, the hoots, the calls, the shouts, the wipeouts, the nose rides, the big scores. I mean, and when you're all encased together in a small area, you know, these surfers can cope with that, and they thrive off that electricity. They want to be around that, and they pull that into themselves, and then they unleash it in their heats.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things Harley brought up was, I think he didn't want to sort of overstep the mark, if you like, because there's 2 events this year on the WLT. So this one, if he can get off to a good start with a big win here, I know it's still early days somewhat in the event, but it would be a great sort of a start to his world title campaign. 3 world titles under your belt. That is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, getting 3 world titles is something that is a realistic opportunity for Harley. To see Hawaiian Honolulu Bloomfield. She looked incredible in her heat there. She's there chatting away with friends, enjoying watching the surfing as we see Connie Stewart and Adam Griffiths moving into the picture there from the UK. And coming up in the next heat, we've got the reigning world champion Phil Rasman surfing against Dame Pioli. So that's going to be exciting, because I've seen Phil just unloading in the free surfs but falling quite a lot, perhaps because he's being quite experimental. You know, he's pushing it, and I think that he's just going to surf a perfect heat. I just feel as if he knows how to get himself into that space for the actual crunch heats and really just put on that smooth velvet mix of nose rides and turns.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what sort of strategy Dane Pioli brings to the table as well, because they're both very solid lads. You know, they're very powerful in their approach and their surfing, and you know, Dane's looking very, you know, calm, cool, and collected. He's not looking rattled at all, knowing that he's coming up against the world champion, because he's thinking to himself, well, there's no pressure on me. All the pressure's on Phil, you know, to go back to back, and on paper, Phil would be the favorite to win. So if Dane takes that approach into this next heat, he's going to put himself in a really good position to just keep the pressure by not even putting any pressure on Phil, because the pressure's already there by being the world champion. So it'll be exciting to see what sort of strategy Dane takes in this next heat against Phil Rasmus. But I think you are right. Champions know when and where to peak. And Phil's just been very coy about all his free serves. He's been very mellow. He hasn't been getting in anybody's way. He's just been going about his business. We're actually tent neighbors. Him and his brother, who's a biologist here, we've been chatting quite a lot, and they're just cruising along. And he knows that if once you get ahead of yourself, that's when you make your mistakes. So if you stay in your lane, which Phil has been doing throughout the last 5 days, that's when you look the most threatening.
Yeah, and Phil was talking to Tom Wegner at lunch today, and he said his world titles are not for him, they're for the world of surfing, and his masters are his fellow competitors. He has great level of respect. He'll know that there could be an upset from Dane Pioli. He'll respect him, as we see Jefferson Silva, even with that damaged knee, moving to the nose very well and carving around this big turn here. I mean, to hang on to that turn alone, even at peak fitness, and throw that type of slashing spray. He's charging, he's going for it, he's not going to give up. He's traveled all this way, he's got himself a terrible injury, but he's really still hanging in there.
Yeah, he is. He definitely is, and it's astonishing to see him doing the type of surfing he's doing. It's just a testament to his ability, his skill level, which is very much up there at the World Championship status.
So if you're just tuning in, all you Brazilian fans from Saquarema, from Rio, Brazil, you got Jefferson Silva surfing against Antoine Del Piero. Antoine was born and raised in Marseille, but moved to Biarritz. Welcome Antoine's father if you're tuning in. I know you'll be watching and you'll be supporting your son. You got Edward coming up tomorrow. Antoine has this funny voodoo with Hawaii, in the sense that the first big world title longboard event that happened in France was won by Bonga, 1996. When Antoine finally made it to a final in the World Longboard Championships, it was against Bonga in California in 2008. Bonga beat him. And he got to another final in Hawaii, but against Dwayne DeSoto at Makaha. I mean, imagine beating Dwayne at Makaha. Close to impossible, the relationship that the DeSotos have with that wave. So a long overdue world title for Dwayne, but twice to get so close and have these big name Hawaiians in the final. Perhaps other surfers Antoine would have been able to beat. So Antoine has had to live through that frustration of becoming very close, and I know that has hit him hard. I know that he's struggled to live with that, to get that close so long ago. And regularly we see beautiful performances from Antoine in the early rounds, but sometimes there'll be crunch heats where it will get very close, and what it often comes down to is wave selection. Sometimes Antoine has perhaps chosen smaller waves when he needed to be more patient and wait for bigger waves. So I just hope that he keeps his cool in this event and he gives himself the right chance, but by not getting too flustered, by being patient, making sure he's tuned in with the rhythm of the sets, being patient like Harley was in that last heat.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what is been holding him back from winning a world title, as he gets to those points. And good world champions learn how to harness that pressure into good energy, and if maybe that's what he needs to work on, because obviously his surfing is brilliant.
He's a fantastic surfer.
He's a world-class surfer. So if he can get that right, like you said, in this event, he can see himself in the final. He's got a few more heats to get there, but he can see himself in the final, and in that final where it's unfamiliar territory in terms of first places, it's familiar territory in the sense that he's been there. So if he can keep his emotions in check, keep that pressure down, well, we could see a new world champ from France.
And he's been 2 times ISA World Longboard Champion, so he has got that other type of world title you can win as a surfer. And he's also won multiple LQS events, so he knows how to win on the big stage. But Jefferson Silva posted a 7.17, so Jefferson still in the game here. He just needs that 8.17 with 10 minutes 30 seconds to go, as the Frenchman Antoine Del Piero has a look at this wave here. If you're just tuning in from France, here's your man Antoine walking up to the nose with the 5. There's a nice little soul arch there, pedals back to the tail. He's going to look for a big top turn here, uses that drop knee sweeping turn there. He's going to find space to get the full roundhouse. He comes down, lure into the foam there. Looked a bit of a tricky one to hit there, and he's going to get the kick out. Interesting that I was expecting a little bit more projection from that first top turn, but that perhaps was to do with the bumps on the face of the wave.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a good score. He managed to get 3 really good turns, all of different variety, especially the drop knee one at the end there, the drop knee cut back. He went to the nose, so the nose rod, check. The big top turn, check. and the beautiful drop knee check. So the judges, I think, will like this. With 9 minutes and 40 seconds to go, he pretty much followed the criteria to a T, and I think that will better his 717, which will mean Jefferson Silva will need somewhere around maybe the 9-point ride here in this heat, and that final heat coming up next against Dane Pioli, and the current world champion Phil Rasman is building.
So Phil Rasman, we're looking forward to seeing him next, seeing what kind of fireworks he releases. But will there be an upset from the Gold Coaster, from Dane Pioli? I know if you're tuning in from Australia, you'll be excited about that heat coming up next. We've got 9 minutes left as the Frenchman, Antoine Del Piero, drops a 7.43. So you said it, Shmoo. You said it would replace it, 7.17. It did, which means that Jefferson, he now needs an 8.43. So the surfer from Saquarema, if you're tuning in from Brazil, he needs an 8.43 to move into first position.
Yeah, well, if he can get one of those ways we've seen Anton riding, he can get that score, because he has just been doing some big old turns. He's been going to the nose, and here we go. Brazilian up and riding.
So live action, toes on the nose there. He gets that 5. There's that 10, arms above the head. He's pedaling back to the tail. A little bit of shuffling there, but he got himself back to the tail for this big sweeping roundhouse. Smacks that foam hard. He's looking composed. He's kind of wincing from the pain, I imagine, on his knee there. But he's not going to stop here. He's going to get one more 5, one more toe tap there, and he kicks out on the dry, shallow section. Busy paddling there. He's kind of thinking, well, that was good, but was it the 8.43?
I don't. In comparison to a 717, I think it might come close to that score. I really don't see an 8.43. Looking at Antoine's 8.17 in his score line, but he's inching closer. I feel he's definitely inching closer.
So we've just had Will Hayden-Smith, contest director and regional tour manager, come into the booth, and he's just confirmed that this will be the last heat of the day. So we're not going to see the world reigning champion Phil Rasman until tomorrow morning. We're going to be kicking off at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning as Dane Pioli comes up against Phil Rasman. So obviously there's been some dialogue with the contest director and the surfers, and they both made the decision not to surf as we have 7 minutes remaining. Antoine Del Piero in the lead with Jefferson Silva needing an 8.43.
Well, I also think the lighting for the judges. It does get dark here pretty quick after about 5:30. The daylight starts to go really quickly. So I think that it's also was a factor in the dialogue that they would have had with the surfers, and Harley Ingleby, the surfers rep, Phil, of course, and Dane would have been in that conversation with Will Hayden-Smith and our head judge. So that's a good call. We've got through 5 heats, 5 of the 6 that we wanted to. It's just that one extra heat. We're starting at 7 a.m., so there'll be plenty of light at 7 a.m. Papua New Guinea time, which is on par with the Queensland time over there in Australia. So if you're planning on joining us tomorrow, of course, there will still be swell. The forecast I had a look today with Will. It all comes down to the period, how long the intervals are, and they drop down just a second. So it's not going to be extremely small tomorrow. It might be a half a foot smaller tomorrow, but still plenty of consistency in the swell. Then we will start to see things pick up on Friday with a new swell forecast throughout the weekend. So looking to, at this point, finish on Friday morning. If everything goes to plan. So this will be the last heat of the day, and Antoine de Piero of France, Biarritz, France, is out in front. In fact, they're just waking up in France.
They're just waking up, so welcome if you're joining us in France. Your man, Antoine Del Piero, he has a 8.17 and a 7.43, but Jefferson Silva from Saquarema in Rio, you got a 7.17 and a 6.5. You need an 8.43. And talking of Côte de Basque, which is Antoine's local patch, that hosted the famous Biarritz surf vessel, which evolved into the Roxy Jam. So it's crowned many a champion longboarder over the decades. Robert Rabineau, who used to run that event there, he really put a lot of love into global longboarding. And as we see, one of the kind of child prodigies of longboarding in France, now into his 30s, but looking like an incredible potential world champion with a beautiful vertical blast off the top there, Shmoo. That was world-class surfing from the Frenchman.
That was impressive. You see the lip line project him out after he did that big vertical reentry on a 9-footer. That was amazing. He went straight to the 5, shuffled back up the board, cross-stepped his way back to the tail, had a lot of power coming off the bottom and just hit that lip so perfectly, it just projected him like a trampoline, bounced him back onto the open face, and the judges will really love that. Watch when we see the replay, you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. That was great surfing, and it still baffles me how you guys do that on these 9-footers.
Phenomenal surfing, and just as I was referencing the Biarritz Surf Festival, Antoine grew up watching that. As a young grommet, he fell in love with longboarding from seeing all of these great longboard ambassadors from all over the world coming to his local beach at Côte de Basque, and he just seemed to embody everything about longboarding on that wave. He hit the nose, pedaled back, and when he initiated that bottom turn, when he projected out from that foam, there's actually air between his fins and the face. As you see the beautiful soul arch here, looking really low on the bottom turn, and then here we go, boom, and nearly air between those fins and that face. That was incredible surfing from the Frenchman. Backs it up with another roundhouse cutback in the 9s. You think, Shmoo, this score?
I think it could go to the 9s, Sam. I'm with you. It was amazing because he ticked off some big points boxes there. As we see, oh, well, there you go. 9s, you called it, 9.20 for the Frenchman, and he has got a massive scoreline now.
But commiserations to Jefferson Silva. You know, you're now in a combination situation, so you need to really get busy. But what are the consequences of getting busy? Jefferson, if we could talk to you right now, you got to weigh this up. Do you want to put that knee in jeopardy for years, or do you want to come back in Taiwan and get a good result with a fit knee?
Yeah, I'm with you. I would be the latter. I would just say, okay, I've got 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm comboed. I got a meniscus injury. I've done my best. I've tried my hardest, and that's all anyone can ask of anybody is to go out there and try. He's shown spirit. He's shown a lot of heart. I don't necessarily agree with him going out there because a meniscus injury can lead to an ACL problem. But hopefully he is all right. But I would just be going, hey, well done to you, Anton. I'm out of here. I'm going in, making sure I get my knee stabilized, iced up, and on the next plane back home.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you know, the longer term is so key for all these athletes. You know, there's the here and now. They've invested a lot of energy, money, love, time to come here, but you know, your body's for life, and you've got to look after that thing. And these surfers, they'll be back. You know, Jefferson will be back. He's gonna recover from this knee injury. He's gonna come back to Taiwan. He's gonna have another good result there. He's going to hopefully go better than this. He's already got a 13th, which is excellent. He hasn't got the 25th, which is effectively the worst result you can have here. He's done better than that with the 13th, but he's still going for it. He's getting this set here as we see live action. He gets the 5. He's pedaling back to the tail. That's a big, fast drop there. He's going to put that on rail. He's going to kick out. He knows that's a fatter, wider wall there. It's not going to facilitate any more room to weave around that face, so he's going to kick out and paddle back out. He's got just 1 minute 40 seconds left, but Antoine, the Frenchman there, he's always been in the game. I remember seeing him rising through the junior ranks as a flashy, quick-footed longboarder, and what I always loved about him was his flow, always moving up and down that board, but just engaging with everything with style and flow. He really is one of the kind of good stylists of performance longboarding.
Yeah, he's shown that in this 8. I mean, a 9.20 and 8.17 for a total scoreline of 17.37 out of a possible 20. He's put in a brilliant performance and a very justifiable place in round number 4 that will be more than likely in the water tomorrow. With 1 minute to go, he will definitely defeat the Brazilian Jefferson Silva and move on. Of course, this is the final heat of the day, and the Frenchman will book himself a spot in one of the round 4 heats coming up tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. You can still see out in the back there. I'm just looking at the swell lines. There's plenty of swell.
There's movement out there. We'll be out there for a little evening session very soon. And I just must say, if you're tuning in back home, you know, stay committed to us because we've been working like crazy to deliver you enough bandwidth so we have a permanent stream. And I know that the technicians in Port Moresby have been opening the floodgates for us. Officially, we should have a much more continuous stream very soon, and that would mean it won't be cutting out. I know that there's frustrated longboard fans around the world. So I've just got confirmation that we are streaming smooth from now. So no more kind of jitters. But we had a little jitter there from the Frenchman Antoine Del Piero. But he is being on fire in this heat with a 9.20 and an 8.17. So the Frenchman, Antoine, what a performance as we see Jefferson Silva in the dying seconds there. He was on the nose with a full hang 10 into a roundhouse cutback, moving through the foamy section of the wave. We have to remind you fans from Brazil that Jefferson has damaged his knee, so he really had to grit his teeth and with determination to paddle out here. But Antoine Schmu, what a performance from the Frenchman.
Yeah, definitely. What a great performance from the Frenchman. And there you can see that light is really why one of the reasons why the contest officials decided to postpone that final heat number 6 between Phil Rasman and Dane Pioli. The heat is now over. Antoine DePero is your winner. He will move on into round number 4. It's been an amazing day for both the men and women here in PNG. And, we've had a lot of highs, some lows, unfortunately. That's the way it is in competition.
Tori Gilkison goes out, reigning world champion.
Definitely. We've had a few. Ned Snow with a huge scoreline going out against Kai Salas, his Hawaiian brother. And we've got a lot of highlights that we would love to show you. So if you want to check this out, here are some of the highlights from today.